Hello, and good morning. Thank you for joining us for the INTERalliance intern training modules. Today we're going to go over Module 3, which covers professionalism in the workplace. And for those of you who are counting, you'll notice that we skipped Module 2. You are correct. We have done this in order to make Module 2 a little bit easier for you. Instead of going through a full presentation, we're just going to send you the instructions, allow you to set up your Clockify workspace, and then there's a quiz afterwards. Honestly, if you can set up your workspace appropriately, then you've got it covered. It didn't really make sense for us to waste your time with a presentation. So with that, we're going to go ahead and jump in. There are a lot of aspects to being professional in the workplace, everything from dress code to how you communicate to some of the little smaller nuances around how to handle yourself. And I could have spent a ton of time putting together slides that went over all of these, but I found this video on YouTube and I thought that it really covered things well. So instead of, reinventing the wheel, I just thought I'd share this with you and then I'll elaborate a little at the end.
8 tips on professionalism in the workplace. Tip number 1, make being on time a priority. Being late for work or meetings gives the impression that you are unprepared and don't care about your job. Not only does this apply to start times, but also returning from lunch breaks. Tip number 2, dress appropriately. Not every workplace requires a suit and tie, so whatever clothing is accepted should always be neat and clean. Flip-flops, shorts, or tank tops should be saved for the weekend. Refrain from wearing anything too revealing. Tip number 3, stay positive. We all have our days, but we shouldn't take it out on our coworkers or patients in a healthcare setting. Leave the negativity at home and make the best out of your situation. Tip number 4, watch your mouth. There's no place for swearing at work. Using bad language seems as if you have a limited vocabulary. Tip number 5, offer to help colleagues. A true professional is willing to help his or her coworkers when they are overburdened. They aren't afraid to share knowledge, opinions, or simply an extra pair of hands. One person's success reflects well on everyone in the workplace. Tip number 6, don't hide from your mistakes. Take responsibility. Don't be afraid to take ownership of your errors and do your best to correct them, so you don't make the same mistake twice. Tip number 7, don't lie. Dishonesty never makes anyone look good, whether it's lying on one's resume or calling in sick. A true professional is upfront and doesn't hide the truth. And lastly, tip number 8, fight fair. It's inevitable that there will be disagreements in the workplace.
So that was a pretty good video summarizing a lot of the things that I typically would share with you in the day-long training. A couple of pieces to hit. Absolutely do not show up late. We encourage you to show up at least 15 minutes early, specifically on your first day, but in the mornings, just so you can get settled, get coffee, find parking, find your desk, because sometimes that can be overwhelming. I know a lot of our internships are going to be remote, if not most of them, so your commute should be shorter, but just making sure that you're signed on and you don't run into any issues is critical. No swearing. I swear a lot, those of you who know me, but specifically in the workplace, it's inappropriate, so just be really careful with that. Dress code we're going to go over in a little bit, but I did want to highlight the making mistakes and taking responsibility. That is critically important. One piece of advice that I typically give the interns, and honestly it's one of my favorites, is this is probably the only time in your career where your employer expects you to know almost nothing. So not to be crass, but they kind of expect you to be somewhat of an idiot when it comes to the workplace. So what that means is that you should always ask for help if you don't know something, or ask lots of questions, or stand up and say, hey, I'm not sure how to do this, but I'd love to be a part of it. And those are all really good ways to show the employer that you're eager, you're interested, and you want to learn, but also prevents you from getting down to the wire and going, oh no, I don't know how to do this and it's due in 5 minutes. I should have asked earlier, right? Because the first option looks really good on you. The second option does not. But yeah, always owning your mistakes. I think that that's good advice for life, right? We need to all be accountable and responsible for what we do. So let's move over to communication. Communication in the world of America right now is very informal. You know, we spend a lot of time talking through text messages and TikTok, Instagram, everything, even Twitter is abbreviated. So what we're asking you to do in the workplace can feel a little bit more formal, and it should. You've probably run into this with your teachers, sending them, hey dude, what's up, in an email is less appreciated than, dear Mr. Twyford, I have a question. So we're going to go over a couple of key points. It's going to be bigger than just email, but bear with me. This is probably intuitive to most of you, but it's critical that you understand how important this is. Some of our employers are really, really laid back. I come from Kroger. Kroger is very laid back. Other employers are not. So I just want to make sure that everyone understands this piece. So being email happy, you can take this one of two ways. Number one, when you're communicating, lay off all of the extra exclamation points. It makes you sound a little manic. Secondly, over communicate. So if you, make sure you're providing status updates, make sure you're asking those questions. And instead of really being email happy, it should just be communication happy. Now, don't be a burden. Don't step under their feet all the time giving updates, but you should find that balance of really over communication. Speaking of email, you're all going to get an email box associated with your company where you're interning. You're going to get a lot of emails. Some of them are from your bosses or your mentors or me. Those are critical to respond to. Always bubble those up to the top. Other emails where you're on mass distribution lists, like, hey, there's cake in the break room, or it's Jimmy John's birthday, or whatever, right? Let's celebrate 100th day in the workplace, whatever that is. Those may be fun emails, and you definitely should pay attention to them so you get an understanding of the culture. But if you have a deadline or you're overwhelmed with email, always read the ones from your bosses, your mentors, and me first. So just a tip. If you're using Outlook, Outlook has a really great way of marking certain things as high priority or sorting them into folders. Just use whatever works for you. If a to-do list or using a tool like Asana, Trello works, just find what works for you. But showing them that you can stay organized and prioritize is going to be critical for your personal brand. Now, most of you at the end of your internship will need to present a presentation to senior leadership or management on what you accomplished, what you enjoyed, that type of stuff. They're going to ask you to do that in PowerPoint. Even though I'm giving you this presentation in PowerPoint, I hate PowerPoint, but companies love PowerPoint. So a couple of things to you make sure that you're successful there. Number one, when they say create a PowerPoint, ask them if they already have a template. And a template is something that, our template always has INTERalliance in the top. We've got some more formal templates than this one. Ask them what they have, because that's going to make you look like you are embedded within the team, and it's already going to make the presentation look more professional. So that's number one. Number two, do not use animations. Don't do it. Just don't do it. It is distracting. It is annoying. Don't do it. Practice your presentation in advance, and what I will tell you is to put as few words on the screen as possible. Now, if you want to hit 5 bullet points like I do here, obviously I have 5 or 6 bullet points and a lot of additional content on top of it. If I forget something while I'm telling you, the only person who knows that I forgot something was me. And I think that that's a really good tip for you to think about. If you write out every single word of every single thing you want to say on the PowerPoint, one, they're going to be distracted reading your words, and if you forget something, they're going to notice. So that's just some tips on PowerPoint. If you ever have a question or want me to review your PowerPoint or watch your presentation, just reach out to me. I'm happy to do that. Meeting behavior, be on time. We've already talked about that. Be present. Don't play on your phone. Don't multitask. Ask questions where you need to, but read the audience. So if you're in a room with the CIO and his C-levels and someone just asks you to shadow the meeting, don't ask questions. Hold your questions. Ask your boss or your mentor. If you are in a team meeting where they're going over workload and you're assigned part of it, ask for clarification. So just kind of read the audience, look at the folks around you and how they're reacting. Also, pro tip, if you know you have a meeting with the CIO and their direct reports, dress nice. I don't care if the dress code is jeans and tennis shoes, dress nice. You don't have to be in a suit and tie, but you definitely should be in a nice pair of khakis and a button-up shirt. Conference calls. Now these are probably going to be replaced with Zoom meetings, but the tips really do translate. So don't get distracted. Pay attention. Do not play on your phone. I mean, it's the same with the meeting behaviors, but conference calls, it can be so easy to find something else to do. I personally very much dislike conference calls because of that, but you know, try to stay focused. Make sure that you're talking. So if someone asks a question about your area, speak up. Now don't talk for the sake of talking, but try to remain engaged so people know that you're there. If a conference call has the option to do video, always do the video and make sure you're dressed appropriate and you look appropriate. If it's 7 o'clock in the morning and you've just rolled out of bed, maybe not do that video. But there are lots of companies where that is a requirement so that they can see you. So just something to keep in mind. Always be prepared to present. And then gossip. I shouldn't have to hit on this one, but don't gossip in the workplace. Just don't do it. If you walked in that morning and you saw Susie bend over in the parking lot and she split her pants, that is terrible. She's having a terrible day. Don't come in and tell the rest of the interns what you saw. You're just, one, is going to make you look super immature, and two, no one else needs to know that. It's potentially Susie's worst day of her life. She doesn't want you to spread that around. I added this note at the bottom. Pay attention to how everybody around you is communicating and how they engage with one another. You know, that's obviously part of the company culture, and you're, as much as you want to be a part of that culture, you're really there to understand what it is and determine if that company is right for you, and being a part of that culture is part of that. So email etiquette, I know this probably seems intuitive, but I did want to hit this very hard. Yo, Tristan, I've attached the report that you asked for last week at the meeting with your boss. I know you told me to have it to you by 2 days ago, but this was the most convenient for me. I hope this report will be helpful for your uses. I won't lie, I really didn't enjoy working on it as it took a very long time. I couldn't figure out how to do the Excel formula, so go find them, please. I'm really looking forward to the company picnic. Will there be free food? Joe. Now, if Joe had sent me this email when I was working at Kroger, even now, because I have a couple of interns, I would question very heavily why I hired this kid. So there's lots of spelling, lots of grammar, lots of bad punctuation, a lot of inappropriate content. You should never tell your boss that you didn't enjoy working on something, and you absolutely should not turn something in late. And if you do turn it in late, you shouldn't tell them you didn't finish it completely and for them to do it themselves. This is how you get fired, ladies and gentlemen. Also, that one was really hard to read. Hey Tristan, I'm really having a great time during my internship this summer. I'm glad you keep inviting me to all of these meetings. I'm learning so much. Remember how last week you asked me at the meeting with your boss to prepare the report for you? I finally finished, and it's 2 days early too. I attached it to this email. It was really fun to work on it. Please let me know if there's anything else I can do to help you. I'm always happy to help. Sincerely, Joe. Now, too many exclamation points. This is a very abrasive email, even though it was intended to come off very positive. So just something to think about. Also, it's pretty informal. So there's way too much of the, hey, remember, I'm really excited. Now, sharing that you're excited about something, you're enjoying it, typically better for face-to-face conversation, not so much for the email. And lastly, hi Tristan, I've attached the report that you requested at last week's meeting. Please let me know if there are any changes you'd like me to make. Thanks, Joe. Now, I personally think this is a little sterile, but it is highly professional and it gets the needs across. So this, of the three, is obviously the best email. So dress code. Every company has their own dress code. Every company, when they're onboarding you, should share what that dress code is. If that company does not share what that dress code is, you better ask before your first day. And this is absolutely the same whether it is a Zoom meeting or not, or a remote internship. They're going to expect you, at least from the waist up, to follow their dress code. So if you don't know, ask. If you're not comfortable asking, you can always ask me and I can find out, but it's really important that you ask. I like to give the recommendation that if your dress code is a casual, that you dress one level up or just slightly better. Suits, obviously, that's difficult if you have a business professional workplace. You can't wear a tuxedo. Well, you can, but you'd look silly. But that's something to consider. You're there to make the best impression of you, so making sure that, you know, maybe just look a little bit better than everyone else, and that's fine. Make sure you're fully covered. No one wants to see your booty, so nothing too short, nothing too low cut, nothing with holes in it, no sandals, no flip-flops. Make sure you're following that dress code. Now, with Zoom meetings, we've all seen the video of the reporter whose camera panned out and he was in his underwear. Just make sure you're wearing some pants. I don't care if they're tights or sweatpants or shorts. Just wear some type of pants when you are, in a Zoom meeting, just in case. So here's the definition of the 3 typical dress codes: casual, and business professional. Kroger is a very casual workplace. It means informal and comfortable. Kroger, for example, is jeans, t-shirt, and tennis shoes, as long as the t-shirts are business related. So they say Kroger, or they'll go over all of that. So there's that. It does not include shorts or sandals unless you're given special clearance, so picnic days or Fun Friday days, those types of things. Not very many of our companies are casual. Just throwing that out there. Business casual, this is where most of our companies fall in. Some of them have business casual plus jeans, but most of them are business casual. So that's your collared shirts, skirts, dress pants and tops, dress shoes, typically no jeans, khakis. You look nice, but you're not, in suits and ties. Now, business professional and Western and Southern, this looking at you, business professional is very, very professional in the dress. So it's suits, ties, skirt, blouse combinations, dress shoes. They'll go into detail on what this means, but absolutely, without question, know what the dress code is before you show up. Here are some examples in case there were questions on what each of them are. Now, the pictures here of casual, obviously that step above. This is what I would expect for you. So making sure that you are casual plus a little. Same with business casual plus a little. The gentleman here, he's wearing a button-up shirt. Business casual is technically, can be just a polo and sometimes can even be jeans. And then business professional, obviously these folks look incredible. They're very, very professional, and typically that's more of a banking type setting. Internships of the past have always been working on site. Internships within COVID will most likely be remote, and there's a couple of differences that I wanted you guys to be aware of, and I promise we're getting close to the end of this presentation. So, working on site, attend all meetings in person. If you do not, call in, video if you can help, if you can do it. So try to make sure that you are present, and that means visible. Always network with your peers. That means when you're in the break room, say hello. When you're at lunch, say hello, talk to them, whatever. Over communicate, we've talked about that. Ask for help, we've talked about that. Have a plan, so know what you're trying to accomplish. Speak up when you need help. Speak up if you have questions. Speak up if you have an idea. Just always speak up. Working remotely is very similar, but a couple of tips: create a dedicated workspace. Don't do this from your bed or your couch. Yes, that's comfortable, but it does not instill a sense of professionalism, and it doesn't really motivate you to work, right? If you're sitting on your couch, it motivates you to watch TV or read. If you're in your bed, it motivates you to go to sleep. At least it does for me. So find that dedicated workspace. I talked about this already. Be video prepared. Expect that somebody during the day is going to want to see your face. So dress appropriately, brush your teeth, those types of things. And then everything else is the same. Over communicate, ask for help, have a plan, and speak up. Just be patient. Don't send somebody a message on Slack or Teams and expect them to respond immediately. Everyone works differently, and right now, specifically with the pandemic, everyone's home situation is a little different. I know for me personally, I have a 7-year-old son, so through the school year, I was homeschooling, so I couldn't jump every time someone sent me a message. I was multitasking heavily, so just really be patient. This is who reach out to if you need anything. You guys have seen these numbers before, or these email addresses before. Contact us really anytime for anything. I told you that my email address or my phone number is in every single email, so please, please, please just reach out when you need it. And then in the link below, you will find the quiz. Please take the quiz in order to be, kind of counted for accepting and completing this training module, but you have completed at least the second module that's numbered module 3 because we're crazy, and then you've got 2 more after this plus your Clockify. So we're going to work on getting those other 2 knocked out for you. They're not going to be nearly as long as this one. This was the heavy one, but I hope you enjoyed this. If you do have questions, comments, concerns, or compliments, send them my way. I'm happy to help with anything that you need, and I thank you for your time.